Well, I haven't technically started yet. I'm just being
Okay.
If you want to introduce me now, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, if you want to.
I'm not going to complain.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I teach middle school. I'm used to interruptions.
Okay, welcome to the Powering Up with Technology conference. This session is entitled Movie Making and Graphic Design on a Budget. Budget. Good. And our presenter is Mr. Aaron Smith. At the end of this session, please remember to complete the session evaluation using your mobile device. If you're on social media, please feel free to share what you have learned by tagging at Powering Up and using the hashtag #PUWT16. Thank you and enjoy today's session. Good job.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. I am thrilled at how many people are in this room. I was a little worried when I was looking at the session sign up at the beginning of the week where it said like 2 people, and then I checked last night and it said 17, and I'm like, oh, well, that escalated quickly. All right, but in any case, yes, my name is Aaron Smith. I am a media arts and technology teacher at Benjamin D. Floyd Creative and Performing Arts Academy. It is one of the 2 best K-8 arts academies in the county. There's only 2 K-8 arts academies in the county, but they're both really awesome. Our sister school is Pullen, and both schools are fantastic in my personal opinion. Before I taught that, I was a visual arts teacher in the county for many years. So I'm kind of thrilled they put me in an art studio for this. I'm kind of wishing I brought paints and stuff for you, but oh well. If you want access to this presentation, everything is online for you. If you go to this web address, tinyurl.com/PUWT16Smith, or if you scan this QR code, because that's what all the cool kids are doing these days, that will take you to this exact presentation, so you have all the information I'm going to share with you, and you can leave and go to a better session. No one's getting up. Yes! Thank you. Okay. Oh, they're waiting to scan the QR code first before they leave. I get you. Okay. Also, I cannot stress enough, if you are on Twitter, please, when you find cool, interesting stuff today, and you want to share it with the rest of the world, because it's so exciting, use this hashtag. Hashtag PUWT16. There are people who are already putting stuff up there. I'm going to be putting stuff up there all day when I attend other sessions and I see cool things. It's a great way to, if you're that kind of person that looks at the schedule and says, oh, but I want to go to that, and that, and that, and they're all in different rooms at the same time. Well, go to the one you like the best, but check that hashtag for people who are attending those other sessions. And it's a great way to be in more than one place at once. We haven't perfected cloning yet, but this is the next best thing. And also, if I say anything cool and interesting to you and you want to boost my fragile ego, I would not be opposed to you doing that. Hello, welcome. And that last one is just a shameless plug for myself. You don't have to go there. Okay, so here's what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to spend a decent amount of time going over a lot of the basics. The basics, what I refer to those as, are basically anything that would fit into both of these categories. So when we move on to talking about graphic design, that's going to look a little sparse because a lot of what is entailed in graphic design, composition, things like that, also relates directly to making high-quality video production. So if it fit in both categories, I fit it under basics. Okay? This is going to be a crash course. I'm throwing a lot of information out really fast. If you got the link to this presentation, there's going to be links that you can follow. There's going to be tutorial videos that you can watch that could help you out. If after this session, I was saying this before I started the recording, yes, I am recording myself because I'm like that. If this wets your whistle and you're like, oh, I want more of this, there happens to be a fantastic workshop happening this afternoon at 1 o'clock, which is being presented by that gentleman back there, that I highly recommend going to. And I've forgotten the name of it already. What's the name of your session again?
Nice camera action.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I'll admit, I had to look up the name for my session when I was creating this presentation because I'd forgotten. I'm like that with names. When I was teaching elementary art, I was in 4 different buildings. I had 2,000 students or more. I'm lucky I remember who I am. Smith. Yeah, Smith. My name is Aaron Smith. Okay, so let's move on. The basics. Okay, first of all, like I said, I can't show you everything today. You will have to teach yourself some skills. You will learn skills that maybe your colleagues don't know. This is how you do it. This is my favorite key combination of all time. What is it? What does it mean? Who knows what this does? I see some hands. What does it do?
Undo.
Undo. Any mistake you've made, Control Z, or if you're on a Mac, because Mac's got to be special, it's Command Z. I'm old enough to remember when this was Open Apple Z, by the way. There's gray in my beard for a reason. But Control Z, anything you just did, I just deleted that thing, Control Z, it's back. I just colored over that project I spent 5 hours on, Control Z, it's fine. I just deleted 3 hours of editing work. Control Z, it's fine. I didn't mean to add that filter. Control Z, it's fine. I wish we had Control Z in real life. I was just in a car accident. Control Z. I think a lot of us after Tuesday are wishing Control Z was a thing in real life as well, but that's as political as I'm going to get today because today's supposed to be a happy day. So basically, the cool thing about this is, back when this is the kind of room I taught in, if you make a mistake in a watercolor painting, well, you might be able to work around it. You don't undo a spill of watercolor paint. That seeps into that expensive paper that you bought at the student bookstore. And why does paper cost over $1 for a single sheet? I don't know why, but you're stuck. When I was learning about photography, we were using film and darkrooms and flammable chemicals and teachers who smoked in the darkroom when teaching their students. But oh, you think that's a joke? It wasn't me that was smoking in the darkroom. I was a student, but I watched him walking out with a developer tray in one hand and a lit cigarette in the other, and a trail of students following him. And I was like, maybe I should go to my painting class instead. Well, you take a photo with film and it's messed up, congratulations. You have learned something from that, but it cost you that shot. You'll never get that back. Learning was expensive. Learning took time because you didn't even know if you made a mistake or not until you developed it. With this, your learning is instantaneous and you are never punished for making a mistake. It is only a learning opportunity. If you take nothing out of this session other than this, I'll be a happy person. It's what I teach my students, same thing. You may now leave because you got everything I needed to talk. No. I'm not actually trying to chase people out. It only looks that way. Next up, plan everything out. Seriously. When you are doing stuff, you might think, oh, I got this down, I'm teaching this. You know what, when I am making video newsletters for the parents of my majors, I script it out. Because I have tried not scripting it out. And I stand in front of that camera and I'm just like, okay, today we are going to talk. One moment. You can only do so many retakes before you get fed up and realize maybe I should have actually planned something. I do the same thing with my students. Now, if you're doing graphic design, there's a thing called thumbnail sketches, where basically you just sit down with a piece of paper, yes, a dead tree, it's fast, it works, and you just make a bunch of boxes on that page, and you fill each box with a little design, and then after you've got like 15 or so, you pick your favorite 3. You make those a little bit larger, you pick your favorite one, that's the one you're going to design on the computer. You will spend less time designing it on the computer because you've already made a whole bunch of aesthetic choices in advance, and you're not going to spend 3 hours on it and later say, you know, this isn't really working out. Select all, delete, let's try this again. No, you've already done that with the thumbnail sketches. Video production, it's even more important. These are 3 different kinds of storyboards. I don't stress over my students and which type of formatting they use for their storyboards, so long as they have a spot for drawing and a spot for notes. Spot for drawing, again, on a dead tree, is whatever's going to be in that shot. Is the person going to be up close? Are they going to be far away? Is there going to be something else that's important to the scene in the background? Anything they cannot draw, they write in the notes. That includes dialogue, because as I'm speaking, there's no word bubble that's appearing above my head, slowly getting larger, because I don't shut up, and it's slowly crushing me. No. If you put a word bubble in there, that's totally changing your composition. So if I plan it out with a word bubble in there, and I'm shooting exactly what I've drawn, suddenly I have this huge empty space that I didn't think I would have because the words were filling that when I was looking at it in the drawing. So the dialogue goes in the spot for description. But beyond that, stick figures are fine. Any student that comes to me and says, but Mr. Smith, I can't draw, I'm like, well, can you write your name? You can draw. This is a bit of a tangent, but if you are familiar with an artist who made a lot of books called Ed Emberley, I loved his books growing up. I loved them. It might be dated. He still makes books, that's okay. I used his books as examples when I was teaching visual art, where he started off saying, if you can draw this, and he's got a straight line, a wavy line, a circle, a square, then you can draw this, and there's like the Mona Lisa. And then he goes step by step for how those simple things turn into something larger. Stick figures are fine, so long as I can tell how the person's standing. Now, if every stick figure you draw is like this, that's not telling me anything. Unless all of your people are walking around, hey, you want to play basketball? Sure, let's go. I'll get the ball. It's on the ground, help! But you can draw stick figures with their arms up, or down, or reaching out, or from the side. And there's still sticks, and that's fine. If I can tell how the position of the person is, then it's fine. One of my 8th grade majors, she does fantastic video work. All of her storyboards are stick figures. But I can tell what kind of shots she's using. Oh, that's an over-the-shoulder shot. Oh, that's a medium close-up, and we're looking over that person's shoulder at someone who's far away, so it's also a long shot towards them. And they are next to that tree. Okay, I've got that. Stick figures, it works. Always remember your target audience. This is advice for teachers and students. When your students are making work for you, who's their target audience? Some people aren't sure. Yeah, teachers! If my students are making movies for me, I'm their target audience. Now, it can be broader than that, because I take those movies that my students give me and I show them to the entire class. I take those movies they give me and I submit them for our annual Prince George's County Film Festival. So they have a larger target audience, but their primary target audience, their main target audience, happens to be me, because I'm the one who's putting that grade into School Max in a timely fashion, like I'm supposed to. Honestly, I do that. Thank you for laughing. And it's very easy as you're making something to say, oh, that's cool, I want to do that, I want to do that, and suddenly you've forgotten your target audience. You made this great video that has all this stuff that isn't going towards what you originally intended for it to go towards. I may or may not have had to delete like 15 slides from this presentation because I forgot my target audience and had to backtrack. But I won't admit to it. Okay, whenever you are designing something, whether it's a title or credits in a movie or a poster you want to hang in your room, aim for high contrast. Differences, that's what we notice. If you've got high contrast, where you've got black on a white background, or white on a black background, or a bright color on a dark color, or vice versa, that's going to be more readable than the other way around. And yes, you could probably come over here and say, well, I can read that, Mr. Smith, I got that, I can see that. Yeah, but from a distance it makes it harder. And if you are encouraging people to have eye strain, you are letting your aesthetic choices get in the way of the message you're trying to convey. And if you care enough to add that text to your image, then you care enough to have a message for them. Let them read it. Avoid distracting details. There are few things more distracting than a cute kitten in a sunbeam. That's why I chose that particular picture. This can be as simple as transitions. Yes, a lot of video editing software has fantastic transitions you can add between shots. Page curls, fades to black, things that spiral and circle and stuff, and fireworks, and if that doesn't have anything to do with what you're actually trying to show in your movie, then that's going to remove a little bit of the immersion from that movie. If you're making that video for your students, it's going to be harder for them to focus on the content that you're making for them. And if you're making a movie for your students, probably it's going to be some type of lesson. We want them to learn something from it. If what they learn from it is fireworks are cool, well, I hope you were teaching a science lesson on flammable chemicals. My second thought, maybe don't teach a lesson on flammable chemicals. Never mind. Images that don't have anything to do with what you're talking about. Many of you have seen images on social media where there is some thoughtful phrase or sentence, and then right next to it is a minion. I hate those. The minion never has anything to do with what the text is. They just said, hey, I'm going to take this trademark character and throw it in here for the sake of sticking it in here. It looks cute. It has nothing to do with what you're talking about. That can be a distraction. Font choices, fonts matter. A lot of graphic designers will rally against the use of a font called Comic Sans. Some people are laughing in here, they know what I'm talking about. Comic Sans is great if you are lettering a comic book. If it's in a cartoon, it's fantastic. Not so good for funeral announcements. Not so good when you are sending out a newsletter about the park test requirements. I think those are supposed to be serious. Arial's fine. Arial is very heavily used. Some people prefer Helvetica because Arial is so heavily used. We can go into a whole font conversation if you want, but I'm going to move on a little bit. Backgrounds have nothing to do. The only reason this cartoon is because it's a distraction. Otherwise, it would not be in my presentation, as much as I think my cat is awesome. His name is Socket, by the way. He's adorable. Collect your favorites. I have a few fonts that I really love to use. Instead of every time I make a presentation going through that huge list of fonts that are available to me and saying, oh, how about this one? No. How about this one? No. This one? That's Comic Sans. No, no. My favorite right now is Trebuchet. This font right here is Trebuchet. It's not just my favorite because it's fun to say Trebuchet. It just rolls off the tongue. It's French. It's all nice and everything. But at the same time, it's also the name of a siege engine that was more powerful than the catapult and did horrible things to castle walls, so the guy in me likes that destructive aspect of it. But I think it's a nice looking font, so I look for that when I'm using it. It's not the default font. Does anyone here know about the tyranny of the default? Has anyone heard that phrase before, tyranny of the default? It's how you can tell if you're watching an edited movie on YouTube, if it was edited in Movie Maker, because the title always has that bright blue background with a white sans serif font. Because they didn't change the settings, and those are the default settings for Movie Maker. I'm not going to say default settings are usually ugly. Default settings are usually ugly. Find a different favorite. When my students handle something where they just pick the defaults, I tell them, okay, now find something good. You're being lazy. You let other people do the work for you. Your favorite themes, I use the same thing for all my presentations at every conference I go to, because it works. So I'm not going to spend time thinking about what I have to do. For things like music and images, if those are your go-tos and you use them a lot, put them in a folder on Google Drive or something. Store them there, because then you don't have to go out and look for them again. They're just there. If it's something you need to cite because it's not public domain, then just have a document in that same folder with the citations. If you are having your students do work with video editing and graphic design, and you are giving them a list of favorites as well, where, okay, for your movie, I want you to use one of these 10 songs. You put that in a folder, you put it up in Google Drive, you share it with them over Google Classroom, or you put it on a thumb drive and you put it on the computer for them, and now they're not going to spend 3 class periods going through and listening to every song known to mankind to try to find the one they want to use. They will spend less time working on their project and still have a high quality thing when they're done. I mentioned Google Drive briefly. Put everything there. Is there anyone here who is not an employee of Prince George's County Public Schools? Fantastic. Your Google Drive account for PG County is unlimited. You cannot fill it. You will fill the hard drive of your computer with whatever you're putting in Google Drive before you fill your Google Drive account. It just won't happen. Last time I checked, it said 11 terabytes because it had to have a number there. Computers don't like when there's no numbers. But I'm sure that'll increase the first time someone hits 11 terabytes. So everything, work in progress, work that's finished, student work, put everything there. I tell my students to put everything that they're working on in Google Drive. If they have to change their seat for whatever reason, they haven't lost anything. If your computer bursts into flames tonight, if all of your stuff is in Google Drive, you will not be walking around Monday morning going, I stayed up for 48 hours rewriting all my lesson plans. I have no idea what I'm doing. Give me coffee. Not that I've ever done that. But I have had a computer burst into flames. No, I'm not joking. I was trying to fix it. And a lot of programs, you're going to see different vocabulary for different methods of saving your work. Save and export are the two most common. Some programs, like iMovie, will replace the word export with the word share, which works. In all honesty, I'm a little upset that they decided to use their own nomenclature, but this is Apple we're talking about. They can't even make a phone with a headphone jack, which is a standard. So, I kind of get that. If you hit save in a video editing program or most graphic design programs, it will save it in a format that you can open it again in that program, which is great if you want to go back and make some changes. Oh wait, I spelled that word wrong. Well, you can make that change without starting over again. Not that I've ever spelled a word wrong in a presentation or video, that I'll admit to, more than once. But unless someone else has that exact same program and you can pack up all the files in for video editing, there's a lot of files. It doesn't just save it all in one nice little clump. And give it to somebody who has that exact same program, they can't view it. So that's a problem if you want to actually share your work. And why are you making it if you're not sharing it? Export or share, depending on the program you're using, that changes it. It's less editable at that point, but you can share it with anyone, usually just through a web interface if you upload it to things like Google Drive. So that's accessible to everyone. The rule I give my students is if I can't view it on my Chromebook, it will not be graded. Because I've taught them how to export, so I expect them to. It also means they can use whatever programs they want to use. I don't care if they're using iMovie or Movie Maker or HitFilm Express, I'm going to talk about later, or any program that exists. So long as they can export it into a format that works, I'm happy. No one goes to see Doctor Strange and says, no, I don't think they used Final Cut Pro for this. I think they used an Adobe product. Yeah, no one cares! They care about the product, not the how-to. And when in doubt, there are 15 gazillion YouTube videos that will teach you how to do anything. There's a lot of people out there where what they do is as soon as they are finished banging their heads against the wall trying to figure out a problem, they are so pleased with their solution that they need to make a video and put it out there for you. It's how I've learned a whole bunch of stuff. And then wish that I hadn't been banging my head against the wall trying to solve that problem, because that hurts after a while. Concussions are a serious thing. Okay, last of the basics. You don't need to create everything from whole cloth. There's a lot of stuff out there which is incredibly useful. My favorite on this list right now is the YouTube Audio Library. If you're doing any type of video work, anyone here familiar with the YouTube Audio Library? Oh, I get to show you something new. I love that. Okay, so the YouTube Audio Library, you need a YouTube account for this to work. Guess what? You have one. You are PG County employees, so you are given a YouTube account with your email address. You can log into YouTube with your email address. And if you click on your profile, when you first go to YouTube, if you're logged in, it won't actually have a profile up here in this corner. It'll just say log in. You click on that. If you're already logged into your county email, it'll just log you in. It won't ask for username and password. But you click on that, and there'll be an option that says Creator Studio. You click on that, it'll take you to a page that looks similar to this, and down here at the bottom, it'll say Audio Library. These songs are all royalty-free. All of them. And there's more than actually is listing here. You can sort them by genre, by mood, by instrument, by duration. I need a song that's 3 minutes long, not a minute and a half, not 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes long. You'll find it. Now, they're under two different licensings, okay? If the song doesn't have, I'm assuming people are thinking this is really interesting because the conversation really went up. That makes me upset when I'm teaching, but I'm thrilled when I'm presenting. I don't quite understand the dichotomy there, but I like it. Okay, so if the song doesn't have an icon here, Google bought the rights to it to distribute. If you actually click on a song that doesn't have an icon, it'll pop up text that just says, you're free to use this song and monetize your videos. That means you can use this song for anything. You could even put it in something that you're making money off of, and it's totally legal. Now my students, I still require that they cite these songs if they use them, because I want them to give credit to the people who made something that wasn't made by them. Also, it makes it easier for me to go and check and make sure that they use something they were allowed to use. Instead of saying, oh yeah, that song was totally allowable. Okay, what song was it? My favorite. Doesn't tell me anything. Now, if you see a little icon here, that is a Creative Commons logo. Creative Commons is great. I put a lot of my own stuff under a Creative Commons license. The issue with Creative Commons, though, is you definitely need to cite your sources if you use anything that involves Creative Commons, because all of these songs that have that little icon there are Creative Commons attribution. If you don't cite your work, if you do cite your work, it's totally legal. If you don't cite your work, it's copyright infringement, and a lawyer might be knocking on the door of your school soon. The RIA has nothing against suing schools. And even if you can argue, oh, fair use, I'm totally allowed to use it, well, whoever has the most money wins. Even if you win the court case, if it costs you so much money in legal fees to win because they drug that case out for years, it's a Pyrrhic victory at best. But you don't have to worry about that, because if you click on one of these links that has that icon, oh, check it out! It actually gives you a citation you can copy-paste. You don't have to stress over it if you know how to copy and paste. That's Control-C and Control-V, by the way, for those of you who like shortcuts. On a Mac, it's Command-C and Command-V.
Command-V
for paste.
Oh,
yeah, the reason behind that is that at the time they invented paste, they had already invented printers, so printers were Command-P to print. But they were like, okay, well, there's no V in paste, but it's right next to the C, we'll use that. Now, for stuff that's by Kevin MacLeod, like this song is, he has all this stuff also on his website. If you want a slightly better formatted citation that you can use, you could actually click on the source link here. It takes you to his website. And if you scroll down on his website, he actually has something here that you can copy-paste. It's formatted a little bit better for embedding into movies and stuff. But whichever one you use, it doesn't matter, because the one on YouTube's audio library is more detailed. And this is the guy who owns the song, who made the song. So if he says you can use a different citation, you can use a different citation.
What's his name again?
Kevin MacLeod. He does a website called Incompetech. And he has tons of Creative Commons music that I used to use all the time before I just started using YouTube Audio Library. OpenClipArt.org, most of the images that you see in today's presentation all came from OpenClipArt.org. I may have modified some of them because I'm like that, but they're easy to modify, and most of them are open. They are public domain. There's some exceptions. The problem with OpenClipArt.org is anyone can upload work to it, so that means some people who don't understand copyright law are uploading work to it. You might go to the front page and say, you know, that looks like a Dragon Ball Z character. I'm pretty sure that's not public domain. And that person might argue, but I drew it. But it's a trademarked character. But derivative work. Doesn't work that way, but use your judgment. Wikimedia.org has pretty much all kinds of media. They have sounds, they have music, they have images. They even have movies. Commons.wikimedia.org is the full address to go there. I go there if I can't find what I'm looking for in one of these two sites. Flickr.com has a neat little feature where you can actually sort through all the images that are listed by usage rights, so you can find things that you were allowed to modify. Some stuff on there is even public domain, which is fantastic, but it'll actually tell you what the rights are when you do a search for it, which is kind of convenient. You still need to cite your work in most cases, so by everywhere. I avoid using Google. Yes, you can modify a Google search settings so that you find public domain or reusable work. You can do that. But 9 times out of 10, when I'm doing that on school property. Go figure. And many of the websites, for one reason or another, that will have work that's licensed for reuse are blocked for one reason or another. I'm not going to argue whether or not they're supposed to be blocked. Some of them I'm sure they are. Some of them I'm sure are false positives. Doesn't matter. If I can't actually go to that site, I can't cite it properly. So I avoid this just because as a teacher, there's a lot of things I can't actually get to the website to see what's going on there and how to cite it. These others are great though. Okay, so because time is limited, which of these would you like me to talk about first? Show of hands, how many of you prefer to learn about graphic design first? Hands down. How many of you would love to learn about video production first? I'm sorry, there were some people in here who raised their hand for graphic design, but we're going to do video production first. One hand went up for that. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to click on that, video production. I love the fact that you can click on a link and go to that particular slide. That's a feature that used to just be in PowerPoint, but they've added it to slides now. Okay, so equipment. Remember, this is on a budget. So I don't have a picture of my video camera here. I love this video camera. It's a fantastic camera. It's a Canon Vixia, but at the same time, this thing cost me $200. That's not an on a budget type of thing. However, there's a Chromebook. You can totally do video editing on some Chromebooks now. My Chromebook, which I'm doing this presentation on, is one of the ones that you can install Android apps on. And there are Android apps that let you edit video. There's websites that let you edit video. It's totally a thing now. So if you don't have the money to get a $1,000 computer like this thing over here, you don't need it. Is it better? Yeah. But we're talking about on a budget here. I have students that are majors that do all of their work on their phone. They record on their phone, they edit on their phone, they use their phone to upload their finished video to Google Classroom for me to grade. I am taken aback that they're doing work on a phone where I would be on that small screen going, no, I trimmed it in the wrong spot. Where's the undo? They're used to it. They're fine with it. That works. Tripods can be cheap. I wouldn't spend more than $20 on a tripod, especially if you're on a budget. This little tripod here cost me $20. It's got legs that are flexible, which is kind of neat. I've got some tripods like the one in this picture that literally cost me $10 at Goodwill. Sometimes you can get lucky. You don't need a tripod for image stabilization. This I got at Big Lots. But do you think you can make one of these out of cardboard? Yeah, because half of my students made one out of cardboard after they saw this. One student in my class saw this and figured out how to make one out of cardboard, so she spent the rest of the class, instead of doing the work she was supposed to be doing, making one of these for every student in the room who wanted one. It was her excuse to not do the work. But
Did you give her some credit for that?
I gave credit for everyone who handed in a stable movie, where it didn't look like they were filming in an earthquake zone. I hate these. I incredibly hate these. If you're holding a camera with one hand, you're not going to get a steady shot. Your arm will start shaking after a while. If you are holding it at the end of a long stick, a little shake here means a big shake there. Earthquake simulator. The only reason I have this is because of this piece right here, which holds a cell phone, and it screws off. Not all selfie sticks will do this. This was $5 at Bed Bath & Beyond. That part's broken anyway. I played with it too much, I'll admit. But that is a standard tripod mount. So I could put this on that tripod or any other tripod, and now I have a tripod-mounted phone. And while I'll argue that this camera that I'm using to record this presentation is better than a cell phone camera, the differences are not enough to be a concern for any class assignment. If I can hold a camera still, it's just going to be fine no matter what it's attached to. It doesn't even need to be a modern cell phone. If you upgrade it to the iPhone 7, I'm sorry, but your older iPhone, congratulations. I gotta be snarky, I'm sorry. It's in my blood. Your older iPhone is now an iPod. It's got a camera on it. That didn't stop working. You can get it on the school Wi-Fi. You can still upload things to Google Drive on that thing.
Yeah, and it's just so you know, what you do is you ask parents to donate their old smartphones, and you can run them on your network in your school, because it does everything except make a phone call.
Yeah.
So that you can actually, I've worked with teachers who have gotten over a couple of years, have gotten a whole set for a class.
The only thing to worry about is account management, just because county policy, and I agree with this county policy, I will not argue against it in any way, has it so if you are using someone else's account, they are responsible for anything you do on their account.
Yeah, well, they have to give you the phone that has to be wiped clean.
Yes, but what I'm saying is some teachers I've seen where they will log in to the Wi-Fi using their username and password and then hand the device to a child and say, here you go.
Make the child.
And then the child makes an account on Twitter with a clown avatar, and we're not going to go there. I got this at Target in the toy section. They had a stop motion animation kit called Stickbots. I think you can buy these at Bed Bath, not Bed Bath & Beyond. Five and Below had things like this also, but they weren't bright green. So a little tabletop phone holder, that works too, if you're too cheap for cardboard. Because the things that come in cardboard are expensive these days. Like, I had to buy this computer just for the cardboard. I'll make two. Headphones, because if you have more than one person editing video in your classroom, or even just one person editing video in your classroom, and they're trying to get that spot to clip off just the right location, they're going to be listening to that part of the video over and over and over and over. And nobody wants that, not even the person who's listening to it. Headphones. Dollar store, what I do is I actually tell my students, your one thing that you need to bring them to my classroom is a set of headphones. Everything else I will provide for you if you need it, but you bring your own headphones. That way we're not sharing earwax. Think about your background. Remember what I said about removing distractions? Backgrounds are important. I had a student the other day hand in a great video. It was a scary movie where there were these monsters chasing him in the classroom. But all the shots you could see like my desk, which may or may not look like a teacher desk, which means maybe there's a foot or foot and a half of stuff piled on top of it that I'm going to get to eventually. Probably at the end of the year when I have to clean off my desk. Which is a bit distracting if he's trying to show something else. So think about what your backgrounds are. You could easily film something in front of a blank wall and it'd be fine. If you don't happen to have any blank walls, because maybe your school has requirements for what you have to hang in your room, so therefore every inch of wall space is covered up as high as you can reach, your option is give all your students ladders, or if you're actually following along in this presentation, each of these is actually a link. If you click on this, it'll take you to a green screen that costs less than $17, including the stand.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, I'm sure it's a cheap plastic screen, but it works. If you have a clothes rack like this, you can get these at Target. That actually costs more than this. But you can have one of these and just drape a sheet over it, so long as it's a solid color. I remember going to presentations where people said, oh, buy an ugly green shower curtain and that'll work. They don't make ugly green shower curtains because no one buys ugly green shower curtains. But if it's a solid color, it's still going to be less distracting than whatever other background you have. If you are doing a lesson for your students, let's say you're a math teacher and you want to be showing different quadratic equations or anything, what you could even do is take a camera on a tripod mount or whatever, point it down at a small whiteboard on your table, stand behind it, and draw on the board with your hands going around the camera on either side, and you've limited all distractions. It's just the work you want them to see and your voice. You can be a distraction too. I know I'm a distraction. But I like to stand behind the people filming and make faces at the people on camera. You heard nothing. Lighting is very important too. A cheap lamp to point directly at the audience, not the audience, but the people on camera will sometimes work wonders in regards to illumination. Okay, software. I do not have the time to go over each of these individually, so this is just here as a smorgasbord of things that are worth trying out.
What's free?
What's free?
Yeah.
Everything on this list.
Everything.
Well, to a point, because you got to buy a Mac to have iMovie. But you're not paying additional money for iMovie. Let's put it that way. Now, I think it does cost money if you're putting it on a phone.
Yes.
But on computers, it's free and built in. Well, I'll show you the QR code with you. You don't need to take a picture.
Oh yeah. It's QR code.
But you can do that too. Headphone Express is, of all the ones on this list, it's my favorite. The downside of it is it does require you to have a social media account to activate all of its features. So it's not something where I tell my students, you will make an account with HitFilm Express to use this, because all my kids are 13 years of age or under. But it's my personal favorite where I'm editing a movie. If I'm going to use any of these, I'll want to use HitFilm Express more than the others. It is very feature rich. It does chroma key, so I could use that green screen with it if I wanted to. OpenShot does chroma key too as well. Actually, a lot of these do. Even iMovie does it. But it does multi-track editing, so I can have video clips layered on top of each other. A lot of them layered on top of each other. OpenShot will do that as well, but OpenShot is open source and 32-bit. Those people who know what computers do between 32-bit and 64-bit will just smile and nod and go, oh yeah, I can see how that would be a limitation. OpenShot, it's open source.
It's open source.
Which is great. I do have it installed on the computers in my lab because of how awesome it is. But if you're making videos that are longer than 3 minutes, it's gonna start giving you some struggles because of the limitations of 32-bit software, even if you're using it on a 64-bit machine. iMovie, we've already talked about, free on Macs. Movie Maker is free for Windows. There's a question mark here because it doesn't come pre-installed on Windows anymore. You have to download Microsoft Essentials. And the last time I went to that page, there was a notice saying that they were going to stop supporting it after a while. So get it while it lasts, I guess. But that works as well. If you're going for, oh, I don't have admin rights on any of my computers, but I need something, that's this side of the list. YouTube Video Editor, the nice thing I can say about it is it works. I need to finish up. That's my computer saying, hey, you got like 5 minutes. Okay, so it works, but WeVideo works, it's web-based, runs on iOS and Android, but it puts a watermark on everything unless you pay the money. Now, I don't care if my students hand a video that has a watermark on it, it's just for a grade, but maybe try to avoid that. I have a student that uses this one, KineMaster, on his phone. It's not compatible with my Chromebook, even though my Chromebook can run Android apps, so I haven't tried it out. But it looks like it's got multi-track editing on Android, which is fantastic. VideoPad is a new discovery for me. It runs on my Chromebook with Android apps. It will run on pretty much anything. I went to the website, they have installs for every operating system I know of other than Chromebook. The downside is it's free for non-commercial use only. So if a student goes home and they're making a movie for you and they hand it in, that's non-commercial use. They are getting no money for that. As a teacher, you're getting paid. One can argue you're not getting paid enough, and I'll agree. But you're still getting paid. So if you're using it for a class assignment or class project, that's not non-commercial use. I cannot install this on all the computers in my lab. I asked the person who makes it just to see. No, you got to pay for it, but it's cheap. It's like, right now it's on sale for less than $50. So if you tried that and you liked it, I mean, the interface is a little antiquated, but it's feature rich. I'm a little antiquated, and I'm not feature rich, so I'm worth less than that. So there you go. Quick advice, this should be your order of considerations. Pacing is the most important. If you make your audience wait for something, they're going to be bored, they're going to leave. They're going to zone out, or if they're watching it online, they're literally going to click on something else and take care of that instead. People will forgive a video with good sound and bad images before they forgive a video with good images and bad sound. So that should be the order of consideration when you're planning anything with video production. And the best way to do that with sound is to get close to your mic. The further away you are, the lower the quality will be. Right now, I am probably too far away from my camera. Now, I have a loud booming voice. Not that anyone in here has a teacher voice. So that's helping a little bit, but this is not a conversational tone. Not really. I'm more or less shouting. If I get closer, it's going to be better audio quality. I don't have to raise my voice as much, and the volume that's coming out of me is going to overpower the echoes that are in this horribly, acoustically poorly planned room. This room was not built to be a sound studio. So that can be a problem. The closer you get to your mic, the better you're going to be. If you're recording everything with a long shot where you can see the person from head to toe and they're saying words, it's going to be a bad recording. When you are recording something, hit the record button, wait a few seconds, and then start speaking. And when you're done speaking, wait a few seconds and stop and trim that stuff off. The number of times I have clipped off a half syllable or even a whole word because I didn't take my own advice is more than I will admit to in front of a room of people while I'm being recorded. So that's very useful. You do need to go back and edit it then. You got to trim that stuff off because that gets in the way of your pacing. Oh, that's a callback, isn't it? Don't put things off until the last minute. You can't treat this like it's a presentation for powering up the technology. Oh. Did not say that. I have seen keynote presenters redoing their slides right before they get on stage. David Warlick, I saw him doing that when he presented at Common Ground years ago. But those problems that you're going to encounter no matter what, you're going to encounter no matter what. It's better to encounter them a week before the project is due or a week before you want to show it to your students than it is the night before. I have students every week, right before the project's due on Friday, staying up late Thursday night, and I get messages on Google Classroom at 3 in the morning saying, Mr. Smith is not exporting right. And I'm like, why are you exporting it at 3 in the morning? Why did you wait that long? It was a 1-minute video. It was assigned last week. Short, replaceable shots work better. If I only have a few lines to remember, or better yet, one sentence to remember, and I can say that, and then cut to somebody else replying to me, I can very easily take any spot where I screw up a line, because you will screw up. We're all human. Professionals who get millions and millions of dollars for being in front of a camera screw up as well. If I can edit out the parts where I screw up, where people won't notice I edited it out because I just switched to a different camera angle anyway, because my shots were short enough to do that and keep the pacing, that's going to be better than if I'm standing in front of, say, a room full of people, some of them having to stand because there aren't enough chairs, and then I screw up a line. That's really hard to edit out without people noticing. Because if I cut that part out, if I do that line over, you're going to see I'm talking like this, and suddenly I'm over here saying something very similar, and that totally ruins the immersion. And if you can do something in pre-production, if you can plan it out first, if you just arrange something in advance, don't try to just fix everything in post. Editing is more time consuming than the actual recording is. If you can do it while you're recording, it's going to be better. Almost done with this. I know some of you are getting ready to go because we got a keynote to go to soon. If you are using one of the free editors, most of them don't have the ability to edit out like background noise and stuff very well. Taking a song and just putting it in there and turning the volume down low so it's not overpowering your dialogue is fantastic for covering up a lot of the little echoes and people in the back room having a conversation and that jet just flew overhead because our school is right next to Andrews Air Force Base. Things like, not that that ever happens while I'm recording. That helps. And if you've got your favorite songs to go to, you don't have to spend a lot of time looking for them, do you? And each of these videos that you can click on will actually take you to a tutorial on how to do a technique. The techniques can inspire you to do a lesson, but they don't have to. You can combine them together. My students just finished a lesson where they had to have establishing shots to show two different locations, even if they were filming in the same location, which worked out pretty good. But these can easily be incorporated into lessons that cover your key content. Okay, so you're going to do, we're doing Black History Month, and you're going to be doing a video on slaves going north to freedom, and I want you to show two parts of their journey. Go to comments@wikimedia.org, find locations that have something to do with the Underground Railroad, and use those as your establishing shots, and they film in your classroom in front of a green screen. Just saying. Okay, that was it for the video portion. We unfortunately don't have time for graphic design. I went longer than my practice went. I'm sorry, but everything is in here, so if you were so inclined, you can go to tinyurl.com/PUWT16Smith and get this whole presentation. I see many of you are already there, which is fantastic. However, because it's the end of the session, I do need to show this last slide, so I'm sorry. I'm going to take this away from you. Because this is how I get evaluated. This is how I get paid. I don't actually get paid. Except with good vibes. So if you scan that QR code or go to this web address, it'll take you to my session on that website, and you can click on this button here that says Session Evaluation. And you can say how horrible I was and how I went over time and I didn't cover everything I said I was going to cover. And say that you never want to see me again. Thank you so much for staying over time. You've been thrilled.